Today, Kizomba is known globally as a smooth, sensual, and intimate dance, a staple of modern nightclubs and international festivals from Paris to Tokyo. But behind the dimly lit dance floors lies an origin forged through state censorship, civil war, and the systematic elimination of a generation of artists. To understand Kizomba, go back to 1940s Angola and listen to its rhythmic ancestor, Semba. In the decades before independence, groups like Angola Ritmos used this upbeat acoustic style as a weapon against the Portuguese Empire. By singing in the indigenous Kimbundu language, musicians spread pro-independence sentiment right under the noses of the Portuguese secret police. In this era, Angolan music served as the rhythmic engine of a political revolution. Angola finally won its independence in 1975, but the resulting power struggle almost immediately collapsed into a brutal 27-year civil war. On May 27, 1977, a massive internal ideological split within the socialist ruling party led to a violent government purge. In the months that followed, thousands of Angolans disappeared or were murdered. The state specifically targeted the nation's most popular Semba musicians, icons like David Zay, whose grassroots popularity threatened the political leadership. The killings created a sudden cultural vacuum in the capital city of Luanda. The deep culture of fear took hold, and surviving musicians stopped singing about political issues to avoid being targeted next. The elimination of political art forced Angolan society to reinvent its musical identity simply to survive under strict state control. To avoid censorship or death, musicians abandoned their fiery anti-colonial lyrics. They shifted entirely to safe, romantic themes of love and longing. By the early 1980s, an artist named Eduardo Paim began filling that cultural void by looking to foreign influences that the state considered less threatening. Paim fused the remnants of traditional Angolan semba with the sounds of Haitian compa and French Caribbean zouk. The exact technical shift, the tempo dropped from a frantic 130 beats per minute to a smoother 90. The erratic 2-4 signature smoothed into a steady 4-4 rhythm. As guitars were replaced by electronic synthesizers, a bandmate dubbed the new sound Kizomba, meaning party. This new genre functioned as a calculated sonic shield, protecting musicians by wrapping their art in a heavy electronic romantic disguise. The physical dance adapted to the music. Dancers traded the expansive, fast-paced footwork of traditional semba for subtle, grounded movements that matched the slower tempo. The defining hallmark of this new dance was the incredibly tight torso-to-torso embrace. In a society deeply fractured by ongoing conflict and suspicion, this close physical connection provided a way for people to rebuild trust and vulnerability in a safe space. As the civil war intensified, thousands of Angolans fled as refugees, establishing a massive diaspora community in Lisbon, Portugal. The nightclubs of Lisbon became the melting pot where Kizomba was formalized, structured into teaching methodologies, and prepared for global export. The civil war that attempted to destroy Angolan culture ultimately scattered its seeds across the globe. As Kizomba spread internationally, it branched into distinct subgenres that reflect different urban realities. You can see the contrast between the heavy, slow bass of Tahishinya and the high-tempo, aggressive street resilience of Kuduro, which uses rapid footwork to channel the grit of Luanda's neighborhoods. There is also the French export urban kiz, which incorporates linear movements from Argentine tango and hip-hop, often maintaining a physical distance between partners. This divergence has sparked an intense and ongoing debate. Angolan traditionalists argue that pulling partners apart strips away the jenga, the soulful movement that defines the dance's Semba roots. The global success of the genre has created a continuous tension between commercial evolution and cultural preservation. Institutional support is now securing the dance's history. In 2024, the Angolan state successfully designated Kizomba as an intangible cultural heritage of the nation. In 2026, an AI-driven project managed to isolate and restore the scratched recordings of David Zay, the Thumba icon murdered in the 1977 purges. These efforts return the voices lost in 1977 to the national consciousness, providing the modern Kizomba generation with a direct link to the artists who first used music as a form of resistance. This trajectory shows how a specific rhythm allowed a society to rebuild connection following a 27-year civil war. The close embrace of the dance remains a tangible record of a culture that used music to survive when speech was no longer safe.